All right, so I'm just showing you how I face mount a print, like a bezel or a marquee to glass or plexi. Um, all this essentially is a reverse printed image on clear, and then that clear is backed with white vinyl. So the sticky part is actually on the image itself. I'm going to mount that directly to the glass. So you could try to do this dry without any kind of fluid, but it's not really going to work well. And you can only really get one chance at it. So that's why I want to make sure that I'll show you how to do it. First thing you want to do is grab glass cleaner. This is a commercial for this glass cleaner because it is probably the best glass cleaner you can get. I don't know where we get it. Walmart, Costco, somewhere.
AutoZone.
AutoZone.
You might be able to find it at Costco.
Get ammonia free, right? This stuff is pretty good. Clean both sides of the glass. Clean it, but then get a little scraper razor blade and go over the glass, the whole glass, top to bottom like this. I already did it, so I'm not going to show you. But if you don't do that, you're going to get like little bubbles and stuff. Because there's for sure stuff on the glass that's not going to come up just by wiping it with a paper towel. So you want to scrape that side. It's also good to scrape both sides because when you're trying to look at the other side, you won't know if that's on the inside of the glass or the outside. All right. So first thing I'm going to do, I have like a little sprayer. It's got a hole in the bottom, but this is just water and like a drop of dish detergent and a little bit of alcohol just so it dries. And just going to spray the glass down. You don't need a whole lot, but it doesn't really matter. Spray the glass down. Oh, shit. When I print these things, I put top, I mark the top and I mark which face side is down. Like this side is down. Like I said, this is going to be the sticky side. So probably a bunch of ways to do this, but easiest way for me, just lay the whole thing on here. Kind of where you got it. The other thing to keep in mind that this is not the right glass for this is just kind of a misprint that I'm using to illustrate how to put it on here. And so you kind of get it where you want it. And once you get it where you want it, just fold it in half and peel off. All right, start to peel this off. Don't touch it because you get fingerprints on it, and since you're putting it on glass, the fingerprints are going to show through the glass. This is usually helpful when you have two people, unless you have that person holding the camera. Biggest thing you got to worry about is getting your fingers on it and not letting it stick to itself. So wrong thing to grab. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to spray. This is salt. So the other thing you need to be aware of is what the adhesive is made out of. This is solvent adhesive. If it was a water-based adhesive, then you probably wouldn't want to be using water because then it's going to reduce the effectiveness of the adhesive. So now all I do is I just cut this backer paper across here. These are not the best. This is the best knife. You get this knife off of Amazon. Just, I don't know. I'll put a link in it or something. Or not. But those blades in that knife cut really well. So once you get that, get rid of that. And then because we had paper on it, right, I don't want to risk putting it down and then some of the water got picked up. this is fine to just start laying it down like this now. It's gonna, you just lay it like that. Because it's got water on it, you're gonna be able to lift it. Flatten it out. Pull it back, pull the other side over. This is one of those misty things, so it doesn't put out a lot of water. You could probably use one of those regular spray bottles. Peel the rest of this off. You also want to make sure you're doing this in a non-dust area, right? Like, we'll be doing this in the garage after you just sand it down a cabinet or something like that. It's gonna have a bad day. Put some water on there. A little spritz. Not a lot of water coming out, but it's probably enough. So I just take this and kind of lay it back down. Doo-ba-doo. Right. This is where, if you need to, you can kind of pick it up and move it. But you know, for purposes of this, and the more water you use, the easier it's going to be. And also remember, especially if you're doing a cut thing like this, you can't really pull one side and then pull the other because it kind of doesn't all go down exactly the way it should. You'll probably see that when I start squeezing it. The fact that it's sticking probably means more water. So I do a grab the squeegee. You don't really have to worry about scratching the back because it's the vinyl. So what I do is I kind of start in the middle, and then from the middle, I just go out and just start initially pushing water out. Right? You can kind of see. Sometimes you'll see already if you have some dust. You can't really see it. There's like a little speck right there. That's probably dust. Turn it this way. Yeah, there's a good one. So right over here, there's a couple little spots right there, right? Sometimes you can push those down and out. Sometimes you can't. So that's why you got to be dust clean. I mean, you could try to pull it back up, put more water, right? But, so this side's pretty much down and flat. Where it gets tricky is as you start going across here. This is already sticking because not enough water, so let's pull this back, make sure we have enough. There we go. That's mine. What you want to do is just, you know, run along the sides here. And you see it's going to start wrinkling up because it's not exactly aligned. But if you start from the side that's completely flat and down and work your way this way, it's generally going to straighten out. You definitely don't want to stretch it. So when you're pulling it, sometimes you'll end up with, like, it feels like a bump right here or something. That's because maybe when I pulled it, it stretched a little bit, but let me go this way. For here, kind of try to come in like this. Okay. And you can work those out. Sometimes you get little fingers here, they're called, right? And this is because it's not exactly flat. Like I might have stretched it when I pulled it. So those fingers now, they're out. Let's pull it back up a little and then put it down. And now you can kind of go from the middle out here. I'm kind of pushing out this, pushing all the water out. So I turn this over now, it's probably not going to look great because there's still a bunch of water in there. Let's take a rag. Once this dries, like, it really won't come off. It could, but it's not likely unless you really pull it. But it's not gonna flake generally like screen printing on the glass, or the adhesive might fail, but really just depends on what materials you use. And like I said, I wasn't really paying too much attention about like little dust particles, so it's good because then you get to see kind of what it can look like. So I just take the harder side and kind of just start squeegeeing out. You can, at this point now, you can kind of go, you always want to go from the middle out, because if you just start randomly squeegeeing, you trap bubbles and stuff everywhere. So just put a little water on the back, right? Up the squeegee glide across it. See, it's a little hard to see now, but there's some bubbles in here. Like, go right. See, as I push, you can kind of see that's the water and stuff coming out in front of the squeegee. Gotta kind of angle it in the light a little bit. Yeah. Because this stuff is still, it's not cured or anything yet. If something happens, like, you can still kind of pull it up. Spray a little water on it. Let's say you get a bubble or something and you're like, shit, I can't get it out. Just kind of gently pull it up. You want to pull it evenly, because you can end up stretching the vinyl, and then when you go to lay it back down, it's not going to work well. It's kind of like window tinting, if you ever did any window tinting. But here you can kind of see now that I lifted it back up and put it back down. This is super flat against the glass. So, what's this? Yeah, this is really flat against the glass. So even if it's hard to see in here, but there's not much in there because of the way I laid it down. Okay. Again, we got some dust particles. We might be able to get away with pulling this back up. And generally, if you're going to use a towel, I wouldn't recommend, having the artwork lay over on the towel, because as soon as you pick it up, you're going to get lint on it, which then might go in here, might not. So, you're going to put a towel down, kind of just make sure that it's only under the glass, not sticking out from the edge of the glass. All right, there was a little more dust in it than before. Now there's like one big piece. I'm not even gonna mess with it for now. Like, you can kind of hear it, listen. You can't hear it, but it's right there. So once you get that down, kind of go across the whole thing. You're not gonna get all the water out, and that's, it's fine. That's not the idea, because the water is kind of it's the water and the alcohol and everything's gonna dry in there. So Normally what I would do is I would let it dry first. See, I can see a couple of little bubbles up here, and then squeegee out. And sometimes if you see some bubbles and they don't want to get out, it's usually because maybe the edge has dried already, and so you end up with the trapped air. So scoot where you want to kind of pull it back up and just, you know, spray it a little and redo it. So normally I would let this dry a couple hours before I even mess with it. But it's a video, so I'm just going to show you. Once it's dry, right, or you know, do it now, whatever you want to do. If you have a super knife like this one, just kind of trim the edges, because when you pick it up and move it around, you're going to hit the edges, which is going to pull it away from the glass. And I got a good, there's nothing sticking out on that side, so I can lift it up. So now if you look on this side, you can kind of see the reason why this is a misprint, because I didn't back the vinyl the whole way. So you can see how the print on the clear, you can actually see through the print right here. But with the white under it, the print is good. So now we turn it over. Right? I would not recommend laying it like that on the glass, but I just want to show you. Right? If you really kind of come in here and you look at it, some areas, and this is why you want to clean both sides of the glass, because then you can really see. There's some just like streaks or whatever. Didn't wipe off all the way. But here's a good example. Let me see if I can get this on here. Right there. So right there, that's a piece of dust or something under there, and it created, because the what do you call it, can't go all the way to the glass, it creates like a little bubble. So if I wanted, I could go under there and either try to flush it out with water, or like really carefully pick at it with the end of this to get that out of there and redo it. But some, you know, you can see that on the back side. Hold on. So if you look on the back side, that is actually right there. You see it? Yep. It's actually really big. So I guess it's good, since I don't really care about it, I was going to pull it off later. Let's just see if that's something that we can fix, right? So it's right there. This is pretty well stuck, so you gotta be careful when you're lifting it. If you pull too hard, then you're gonna stretch it. If you stretch it, then it won't go back the way it came. All right, so right there, if you can see it, I don't know if it's still on there or not. Let me get some water. And wipe down the whole thing on this side again. But that little bump was somewhere around here. It was right there. Maybe. Just in case it fell on here. You know, sometimes you want to like maybe take a Swiffer and swift the glass real quick before you try to lay this down. Sometimes you just can't help it. So you don't have to go a hole real hard, right? But just You see how it's like fingering up right here on the end? This one, this one, this one. Can you see that? No. Does it show
Right there.
Yeah. That's because, you know, that's because when you lift this, you're kind of stretching it, you know. So sometimes you might need to put a little bit of tension just right on the edge as you pull it. You know, you got water under there, so it's all right. But that fingering, it's like that's called fingering. So it looks like I got that big piece out for the most part, but because I need more water, or I just need to keep squeegeeing it. There you go. Just keep squeegeeing it. If you like see bubbles and it doesn't seem to be coming out, sometimes it needs the water to get out of there in order to stick to the glass. Right? So kind of just keep doing it. Like this one right here, still fingering up because it's not sticking yet. So I'll just keep doing this until, see, now it's kind of sticking. There's still a little spot. Sometimes what I'll do too is like maybe hit this with a hair dryer just to, it'll kind of shrink the vinyl back, but you know, you want to be very careful on doing that. The best bet is just don't really pull the, see how now it's more sticking down than it was. As it begins to dry, you just keep going over it a little more.
About the bubbles.
These right here? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we do got bubbles there, and that's because there's just not enough water right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up and then just respray it so we can get a fresh thing of water in there. You're not gonna hurt the adhesive. Like I said, it's solvent based, so as soon as this stuff dries, that's it. All right. So now I got enough water in there. We'll hold it up a little and work our way down. So we're kind of pushing the water out at the same time. So there's really no bubbles there now, except for these same fingers that we had before. So as soon as the water starts to kind of dry there on the underside, I'm just holding it there now. And it'll stick. It'll start to come back up because, you know, it's water, not the glue that's holding it. So I was gonna try to do this in one shot, but I wanted to grab the heat gun to show. So these wrinkles are most likely from me pulling and stretching it. When we put the heat gun on low, well, I got a heat gun, but you can use a hair dryer. You can really watch those wrinkles right there. Right. You could also heat gun it while it's up, meaning like while you have it up. If you've pulled it and you have it up here, you could kind of like, you know, just hit it with the heat gun a little bit, and that'll kind of, if you did stretch it, it'll bring it back in shape. But because the majority of it's stuck down to the glass right now, when I put the heat gun on it, it's not really gonna do what you want it to do. Let me just put that and hold it on there for a minute. Feel free to fast forward past this part. So as you can see, kind of the least dust, the more water, better. And, you know, they have other stuff like, you know, specifically for like doing window tinting, stuff like that, but you don't really need it, especially if you're only doing this once or twice. So go over here to this corner, and you see this little corner right here is picking up a little, like curling up, because probably when we pulled it, it stretched a little in that corner. So just work it back with your finger, and it'll stick down. Or the squeegee, whatever you want to do. And the same thing goes for like if you want to do marquees or stuff. Generally, if you're using water, you're not getting bubbles so much as you're getting little puddles of water, which when dry, generally will kind of pull the print right to the surface, because that water's just gonna. How it dries, I don't know, because you know it's completely covered in plastic, sandwiched between plastic and glass, but that's what it does. If you get this kind of fingering on the side because maybe you stretched it, let it dry a little bit and then just come back later on, you know, and just, you know, continue to work it down. Because once all the water is gone out of that, evaporated out of that, then it'll just be adhesive and it'll stick. So we got rid of that. We definitely got rid of that, what do you call it there? You know, sometimes you might be able to, sometimes you won't. And again, don't trim the sides until the whole thing's dry, because what happens is you try to go and trim the sides, right? You begin to pull it away from, you can end up pulling it away from the thing because it's not dry and stuck yet. So if I was to take a razor, which I don't know where that is right now, but let's just say I was to take a razor and cut, you can see that that's starting to, even if I did cut it, it's still going to pull away a little bit from the edge. You're going to have to go back and put it on. Right, so there you go. Just turn it around because it looks nice. Don't turn it around while it's drying. Just leave it that way, but this kind of shows you what it looks like. Kind of better than just putting a print behind the glass.